Today, the moon is in Sagittarius, goes into Sagittarius just before midnight Pacific time on Monday. And with the Sagittarius moon, we have a little bit more of a feeling of the bird's eye view, getting some perspective, the ability to reflect and think about the meaning of what we've been feeling on the inside as we went through the Scorpio moon in recent days. We are also just at this point a week out from a solar eclipse in Aquarius, 28 degrees Aquarius in a square to Uranus. So lots going on. I'm Marina Orms here with your Astro vibe for Tuesday, February 10th. Where are we? February 10th. So Sagittarius moon gives us a little bit more of that ability to look back and ask ourselves what's happening, what is the meaning, what is the significance, beginning to tell that story of what's been moving on the inside. So as the moon goes through Scorpio, we're feeling things, we're processing energies below the surface, hard to find the words to put things into. To you can't really explain, it's a feeling, it's energy, it's one of those more intangible ways of experiencing. And we're talking about change because we are in the midst of quite a bit of change. In case you haven't noticed, in the world around us, things are shifting and changing. We are changing. And with the Scorpio moon over the weekend, we've had those shifts and changes moving and being processed on the inside. So now, today, the moon in Sagittarius says, let's begin to wrap our minds around what we've been feeling and what it is we need to say, how we can put our experience into words, begin to tell that story, or at least begin to tap into that capacity to understand and make meaning based on what we have been experiencing and how we're processing the changes that are unfolding in the world around us. So we are in a Capricorn moon cycle. Yesterday was the third quarter moon. So we're just past 3/4 of the way through the Capricorn moon cycle, focusing on systems and structures and planning and where we need to get organized and focus on the foundations that hold us, how we build strength, how we build resilience. So we're doing that work. We're working on that level. And the Scorpio moon again brought transformation. So things we've been feeling. And in the bigger picture, big picture, we're in a very, very significant, I say moment, right? Moment in time, but it's a moment that lasts depending on how you look at it. We're in the middle of decades of change, really. But this year in particular, there are some very synchronistic alignments of the planets that simply do not happen very often. And some notable ones are that I talked about in my deeper dive in Sunday's video are the big picture of the changing ages. And the ages have to do with not just the sun and the moon and the positions of the planets related to the sun and the earth, but how our solar system is fitting against the context of the whole galaxy. And and that is a cycle that changes over time. But as you can imagine, that change takes place very, very slowly. So we're looking at ages that last over 2,000 years. So we're just now finishing up the age of Pisces, heading into the age of Aquarius. Yes, just like the song. So now this transition to the age of Aquarius is, people disagree about what it is exactly and so on. But basically, you can think of it as something that the transition takes place over long periods of time. But this year, so it's not that this year we changed to the age of Aquarius, it's more like this year, a lot of alignments are happening that point to the fact that we are not going to be doing things the way we used to. And you can definitely see that unfolding in world events, in national events, in local events, news headlines, things that are on the collective mind, things that people are talking about, right? And so, yes, things are changing. And yes, it is representative of a bigger shift, but it's also in the here and now, really happening in our daily lives. And so, what that looks like from day to day, how that change shows up in our day to day lives, changes from day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year. So, bigger picture change. But this summer and really this February, we have this Saturn Neptune conjunction, two planets coming together that are really opposite energies. And it's not unusual for them to come together. They come together every 36 years or so, but it is unusual for them to come together at 0 degrees Aries, the very beginning of the zodiac, which has all this potent energy. So that's big picture, and the alignment of outer planets in sextiles, also big picture. So I talked about all that on Sunday. So how you want to zoom that in to today's mood of the day and the Sagittarius moon is that it might be time today and tomorrow while the moon's in Sagittarius to think about your life, to reflect on how you are changing, how things are changing around you and what it means for you, what's important to you, what matters, where you want to spend your time and your energy, how you want to show up, what's important in terms of your own priorities. And so the Sagittarius moon is like that kind of ability to sit back and really take a pause from life and go, what really matters to me? How do I want to think about this moment? How do I want to think about my future? And am I pointed in the right direction? And am I listening to my heart? And am I following my guiding light, the things that are important to me and to my heart and in the big picture? So thinking about that, doing some reflecting, take a nice time out if you can, a nice pause, and at least a deep breath to really, kind of recognize what is showing up in your life, what is passing, what you are letting go of, what you are on the brink of starting. Just acknowledge that. And that can be really significant way to work with this energy. After the moon's in Sagittarius, it will go into Capricorn, coming full circle from where we began this moon cycle as the moon wanes into that upcoming solar eclipse. Very also February 17th, solar eclipse in Aquarius, very change oriented, shall we say. Aquarian energy is shake up, breakthrough, breaking free, unexpected developments. Things are unpredictable. Things can change quickly. The energy of an eclipse is like an opening. So it's like finding that key to open that door that you haven't been able to open. And things could all of a sudden begin to click into place where they didn't make sense before, or you didn't see how to proceed before, or you didn't have clarity before. And one of the ways I like to explain this is that when there's an eclipse, the sun, moon, and earth are all on the same plane at the same time that there is a new moon or a full moon. In this case, it's a new moon. So a solar eclipse. And when they're all lined up in the same plane, if you imagine looking through a keyhole and taking your key and putting it through, like, imagine like the hole on one side is down here, but the hole on the other side, when you put the key all the way through, is in a different plane. So you can't, like, if you looked in, you would just see darkness because the hole is not in the same line, right? So when you put your key in, it doesn't go all the way through because the key is a straight line. So, but you take those two holes and you bring them now in line with each other. Not only does your key fit through both holes so that it can click and open the door, but also if you were to take a flashlight and shine it through, the light would go through both holes to get through to the other side, right? Whereas before, if they're not in the same plane, if they're not lined up, that light won't go through. So something is lining up. Something is able to shift or be seen in a new way, kind of opening a portal, opening a gateway. And, that will show up for each of us in our own ways. But pay attention to what is showing up in your life right now, because what is shifting and changing is an invitation to be more of who you are, to take care of yourself, and to recognize that caring for yourself, not only is it important, but you can't be who you are without taking care of that, right? you have to take care of who you are so you can be who you are, so you can shine your light in the world, because the world needs more light. It's that simple. And so whatever ways that you are here to shine your light, you need to nurture that. You need to cultivate that. Give it your energy, your care, your time, and your attention. So those are some thoughts to reflect on in that bigger picture. Sagittarius is like the energy of the sage, going to the top of the mountain, sitting in contemplation or solitude or meditation to really connect with that bigger picture in ways you can't when you're immersed in your everyday life. So those are some thoughts. Metaphorically, get to the top of the mountain, take that pause, and take that time out to reflect on what is changing and what is important to you at this moment. Those are my thoughts. And other than my deep dive from Sunday video, which is definitely a don't miss, because you want to understand this bigger picture of these energies that we are in the midst of right now. We're moving through these energies, and also the Emergence guest speaker series, where I have invited multiple different guests with expertise in astrology, in different forms of energy work, in self-care, storytelling, all of these different avenues that we can use to support ourselves in moving through these energies. So highly recommend those talks. Transformationalastrology.com. Go there, get a free account, and you will be notified of each speaker when they're available. You can also see the speakers who have already been posted, available at transformationalastrology.com. So far, we have had Celeste Brooks talking about the astrology of our times and what's happening in the news. We've had Louise Eddington zooming big picture out, looking at 26,000 year cycles and changing of the ages and the mythologies of different cultures, and how we can think about our times and view our lives through that lens. We've had now just coming available at transformationalastrology.com, Cynthia Backer, a nurse specialist in integrative wellness, giving us tips on our self-care and how to think about how best to bring balance into our lives. Really beautifully simple and clear tips from Cynthia. And So much more still to come. So stay tuned. Grab a free account at transformationalastrology.com. These videos, once we move past the early viewing time period, they'll be available on my YouTube channel. So some of them are there already, but you might find more if you go to transformationalastrology.com. All right. Thanks for being here. Thanks for subscribing to this YouTube channel and supporting this important work as I grow and expand to bring you more astrology for unshakable self care in all these amazing different ways. All right. See you next time. Bye for now.